Hey guys, Doug the Retirement Guy here. We got a new one, the weekly dividend ETF review, and this is going to be done on the Roundhill. Now, you know we've been doing this for past about 3 months now, reviewing all the weeklies. So we've made a little change, make this easier on everybody because so many new funds are coming out, so much is out there. So we're going to try to break off as much as we possibly can, but still keep you under the loop of everything that's going on. So we're going to start off here with the Roundhill Investments. They currently have 22 different funds out there, and we're going to try to review each and every one of them. Little different strategy, little different way of doing it, and we'll get into it right now. But before we do that, we want to say thank you to all of the subscribers. You guys continuously just continue adding on. We'd love to have you part of the group. If you're not part of it, hit that button. The other one I have to thank is over the 100 different Patreon supporters that we have. You guys are phenomenal. You guys are ones that are keeping this channel going, allowing us to do what we're able to do. So I want to thank you. And if you want to be a supporter, look down in the description. You'll see a spot where it says support the channel. Click on that. It's real simple, easy to do. Let's get into today's video. First, we got to give you an announcement. Notice to all viewers, past performance does not guarantee future results. The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered financial or investment advice. The examples and suggestions discussed are illustrative and may not be suitable for all individual situations. Always consult a licensed financial advisor or a professional before making any financial decisions. So with this one, we're going to break it down into the Roundhill Investments. Because they have over 22 different funds, it's kind of getting crazy at what's out there, and we need to break them down. Now, we're going to do it the exact same way Roundhill does, and they categorize each and every one of their ETFs into basically two different pots. One is called Weekly Pay, which is their trademark ETFs. Now, I know this one confuses a lot of people, but this is a separate category that they did, and what the weekly pays are to do. And that is they're going after one particular single stock fund. So they may take Amazon, they may take Apple, and they'll take that stock and they are trying to do and get enhanced returns of up to 120% of that single stock's calendar week price return. So they're trying to generate weekly dividends for you and I, and also try to grow the fund by getting that extra 120%, which is basically if a stock goes up $1, they're trying to get $1.20 out of it. So they're trying to do this in their weekly pay. So it's one fund, one stock, and selling covered calls, selling different calls on that type of platform. Their other one that they use is called income ETFs. And this is where a lot of people have got confused with, because when we talk about weekly pays, they think they're all weekly pays. But you got to break it down into what is income. Now, income, this is where they really get crazy. And this is what they first started off with the weekly pays, because they wanted to really do something different and unique. And what they came up with was the Roundhill Zero DTE covered call strategy for ETFs. Now, they were the first one in the ETFs, and I believe it was QDTE that was the first one that they ever did it with. And what they do is they use the 0 days of expire. So they're going out there with very, very short term. You'll see overnight exposure in different funds to generate income. And by the morning, they're selling out of the money of those zero calls. So it's a quick way for them to make a quick profit from selling covered calls. And they do it in different categories, not just one particular stock. They do it over, like they'll do the S&P 500, they'll do NASDAQ 100, the Russell 2000. They do a lot of different funds into it. So we're going to break them both down into these two categories so you can understand this probably a little bit better. So let's get into it. And the first one we want to announce is the 5 new weekly pay ETFs. Now, again, remember, the weeklies are the ones that take one single stock and promote it just doing that one stock in the fund. So what they've introduced now is AMD Weekly Pay, which is Advanced Micro Devices. Then they go to Broadcom, the AVGO Weekly Pay. Then they're going to do a Google. they're doing Microsoft, and then they're doing MicroStrategy, MSTR. Now, here's what's crazy about this. We love all 5 accounts that they've done. Now, a lot of people are talking about MSTW, that's going to be the big game changer. That's going to change everything with the big dividends and cranking out some good money. Well, the problem what we have right now, all of these funds only came out in July 24th. So basically less than maybe 1 day into the trading period that they've been actually out there. We don't have enough data, enough information other than explaining what are they investing in, how are they going to do their covered calls, what do they got their money put into. And that would make about a 2-minute video per slide, and we'd be done. So what we want to see and what we're going to watch, we will do a video on all 5 of these so you guys can have a better understanding. But we want to watch and see what happens in the first 30 days. Are these guys going to do what we hope they will do, and that's generate some great dividends and get some good growth, natural growth. But we'll take time and break it down on each one of them. So we'll keep adding that to this here. Anytime we get any more videos from Roundhill, we're going to go ahead and put that into this and keep the ETFs weeklies paying. So let's take a look at a little different how we set up the format of comparing all these together. First in the weekly pay is what we're going to call the fund growth. How is the fund done over the past week? Is it up, down, sideways? Trying to see, are we getting our 120% gains or not? So when we take a look at them, there's a ton of these out there. But the very first one I want to look at is actually one of the brand new funds. Now, I know we said we weren't going to talk much about these, but the AMD weekly pay already is showing after 1 week is already up 5.28%. They had a strong week going from 51.58 to 53.20. And they did a very, very good job with it. All the other new ones are all just basically in that 0.5% or less. And the one that everyone was so excited about, the MSTW, that one is actually in negative numbers at negative 2.61. That was the only one that was down. But that's about what we can talk about right now with those 5 new funds. Let's look at the older stuff that's been going out there. And the highlighted ones right off the bat, HOOW, the Robinhood weekly pay. Even though it's down it was this past week, down 6.83%, this fund is our overall winner because year-to-date growth, they're already over 37.29%. 30 days are at 24.95%. And that light brown, it shows you that they are the winner of that category as AMDW was in the 1 week growth. The HOW, the Robinhood weekly pay has just been on fire. It's kind of great to see it down this week because it's given us an opportunity to hopefully jump in and buy at the lower dollar price. So this is one that we really keep an eye on too. I personally like that $66 range onto it, but at 69, we're still very content. And we'll show you a little bit later on where we feel that one really is going to fall into play. Notables, our second place is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is up to 17% year-to-date natural growth. 16.14% would have been our second place in the 30-day growth. And just this past week, it's dropped only 0.29. So very, very limited drop-off in that fund. So that's another very, very strong fund to be looking at. And then the one that's crazy, and we've talked about this before on this channel, is the coin weekly pay, the COIW. We did a comparison video on all the coin ETFs that were out there. And this one rockets. And I'll tell you guys, this one you really got to watch. This is a hot potato. It will go up. It will come down hard. I mean, they go up hard. They go down hard. And you can see year to date, it's up 15.98%, 30 days up 9.31, but it's down 9.53. It's our biggest loss on the marker. So down to $58. Would you say that's a buy point? It could easily be a buy point when you look at the total weeks of what it's doing. As long as Bitcoin is making the big adjustments up and down, this is where it's going to come into. This is where you're going to get your value, your change in value to it. The other one that we always talk about, we got to come back into this and say, look at the Tesla. The Tesla's down again, 6.34. It's down 13 for 30 days and down 16. So that one there is just continuously, slowly dropping off of the Tesla program. So overall, guys, and if you've watched any of the other videos, we always talk about the Apple version, AAPW, and that one has actually had over the past month a 3.21% growth and a 1.25 over the past week. Even though it is our number one loss package of 27 percentage points down, it's found its base, it's coming back. So to me, I put that as a big, put a note on that one. AAPW is an up and comer. So let's move into the next category, how we rate these things and looking at who's the best fund to be investing in before we can only pick one. And that is the dividend payout. Now our dividend payouts, again, Robinhood wins. HOOW wins again. They pay out $1.12 this past week. Now they're averaging $1.05 a week in payouts. That is huge. Now the thing that throws us off a little bit, and I've got to explain this to you a little bit here, is the year-to-date dividend margins is what it's paid out so far to the current price. The year-to-date collect is how much money we've collected so far. Some of these funds have been out there for longer periods than others. Like, Robinhood's only been out about a total of 4 weeks. When we take it, Pelter, PLTW, has been out there for almost 16, 18 weeks, if not more. So some big differences in the numbers and the percentages, but we wanted to note to you what we really look at is what did it pay this week and what is it total pay on the average? And that's what I really kind of look at, because if you're looking for dividend payouts, who's the best one? Well, right now it's going to be Robinhood. But if you want a solid 50 center, you got the Netflix weekly pay, you got the Pelter PLTW at 50 cents each, some solid good numbers. So we're really impressed with what we've gotten in dividends so far. So overall, again, Howe has paid that dollar average over a 4-week period, so it's a very, very strong payer. Now we're going to add something new to this one that I'll show you guys. I'm excited. We've come back now with return on investment. This is a new way of looking at how to, is a stock good, bad, and kind of give us a new way of rating it, and that is return on investment. How fast can I get my investment back from just dividends? So what we've done here is we've taken the weekly price point, July 25th. What's the price on Friday? So we can look at for next week. What do we want to do? We take a look at what the dividends have paid and then what their average dividend has come into. And then we roll it into basically simple math of take the weekly average dividend, divide it into the cost of the share, and come out with how many weeks will it take to get paid for. And then we turn around and say how many years does that equal out to be. So we have a winner. Again, it comes into the Robinhood fund, the HOOW, right now at a $69 price or $69.55 price point, collecting an average of $1.05 in 66 weeks. We would have that stock or that ETF fund paid for. That's basically 1.25 years. So almost about 13, maybe 14 months max. We would have it at $69. We'd have that one paid for. The second fund is Tesla. Now I know we've talked about Tesla quite a bit and we've seen this thing's been down, 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 but the dividend paying so well, averaging 41 cents per week, that thing would basically in 79 weeks or a year and a half, you would have all your money back just from dividends. Now, I know we've talked about this on the channel many times about how we want to play the dividend games, but if I'm a person that is working on it and I want to live off my dividends, this is a different way. But if you want to sit here and say, hey, I want dividends and I want to get the money back out of it, this is a great way to say Tesla is actually a strong play with 41 cents and getting a year and a half and you have all your money back from it, and now you're playing what we call the bank's money. The other one, we go down to PLTW. Again, we talked about that one, how they've had great growth. And we're not talking anything about growth. We're just talking about my 50 cents a week dividend I get. I would have it in basically 1.89, just a hair over 1 3/4 years paid off. The Netflix paying 50 cents, that's right there at 1 3/4 years. You have all your money back and you're done. Now that's going along with it saying is if the fund goes up and the value of those shares go up, then you cut that even quicker. But just doing it on the return from the dividends alone, you can see that makes a huge difference. Something that I would never touch was the Tesla. I turn around and say in a year and a half, why would not have some money invested into that fund at this time? And definitely, would I be afraid to buy Robinhood at $69.55? Not at this point. I would love to have it at $69.55. I'd buy it in a year and a quarter. I got all my money back just from dividends, as long as the dividends continue to hold out. That's why we're going to keep doing the averages, and we're going to keep looking at this, and it tells us some good buy points across the board. Now let's take a look at the income funds. Now these are the funds, like I said, these guys are doing the zero DTE calls. You can see right off the bat is the NASDAQ 100. I know they call it the inventors because they don't want to pay the fees that are related to it. But we take a look at this one on natural growth. MAGY. It's funny, we've never really talked about the Magnificent Seven covered calls. We don't talk about that. They haven't done much. But when we look at a breakdown as we're doing now, you can see it's up this week. But overall, 8.98% year to date. In the past week, they're up 0.21%, and they're up 0.7% over the past 30 days. We go to Heath, the either covered call strategy. Now, a lot of people have talked about this. I've seen this in the comments to us. This one is way down year to date, down 46%. But over the past 30 days, it's up 11.24%. So it's really done some decent numbers that way. So that's one to also take a serious look at right now. Before the thing really takes off any higher is probably a time to get involved into the Heath package. And then our final one is the Bitcoin covered call, their YBT covered call strategy. That one had a bad week, down 1.45. So it tells me that the Bitcoin areas have had a drop, that it's probably an area that it's a dip that we probably should be looking at to possibly buy. Overall, they're at 30 days, they're at 5.66% growth, and they're at negative 3.18 year to date. Now remember here, most of these funds, I'm going to be clear, most of these funds have been out there for a long period of time. But some of them just started paying weekly, like Heath, but the other ones have been out there for long periods of time. They have a lot of things to recover from because of being out there. That's why our new ROI should be a real big help for these funds. Let's take a look at the dividend payouts of these guys. All of these pay out weekly. So I just want to make sure everyone understands we are still in the weekly paying out situation on the incomes. And when we take a look at it, the number one winner is the Bitcoin, paying out 52 cents in dividends this week. Now we take a look at the second place winner, and that's going to be the MAGY at the 38 cents, and then Heath is at the 34. Now we look at the averages across the board, it pretty much runs in the same exact way, other than second and third place switch a little bit by 1 penny. But the Bitcoin is paying out a steady 40 cents, while the YETH is paying out 36 and the MAGY is paying out 35. I'm not disgrading any of the other funds that are out there. The two that are out there, and I personally own 2 out of the 3, and that's the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. They pay a steady 23 and 25% per week. They just have not had the true performance like the other ones are paying out bigger for. So when we take a look now how the ROI is going to fall into place, this is going to be interesting. And right off the bat, Heath YETH stays on top. And that one there is in 75 weeks. So again, they're at $27.11, paying an average of 36 cents per share per week. You're down to 75 weeks. So that's, again, just shy of a year and a half. And that fund is 100% paid for in dividends. When we look at the rest of these funds, everything else falls into that two year, 2.5 year before you pay off the funds. That's why I'm thinking this is a great way of looking at this. The Bitcoin pays a great dividend, averaging 40 cents on their dividend. But because of the price tag of the stock of their shares is so high that we need over 2 years to be able to break even. And when you get an XDTE and QDTE, you're looking at right there over 3 years. And the MAG-Y that we talk about, the Magnificent Seven, that one is over 3 years to break even onto it. So to me, if it's going to take 3 years to do that, I'm going to need natural growth. I'm going to need some big growth coming out of these guys to help me down the road. So this is why I look at these and say, hey, I probably would have never looked at YETH before until I seen this number. I looked at Bitcoin, the YBTC, I looked at, and now I realize, well, maybe I wasn't too excited about it before. I'm probably not too excited now with it over 2 years to get my money back. So some big differences there. So now we're going to take a look at Doug's top 5 picks. These are the funds that I'm going to be looking at this week and watching and really keeping a track on. If the price drops, we'll probably get involved into them even deeper. If the price goes up, we're going to keep watching it, waiting for that next dip. And here's why we're really into these funds. The number 5 is the Netflix NFLW. The Netflix, it's a return on investment of 1 year and 3 quarters, and it pays a solid 50-cent dividend. Now, I'm going to look at these things at the ROIs that I'm looking at. A year and 3 quarters, I'm going to have all my money back with that 50 cents. After that, I'm going to have a steady 50-cent income on a regular basis. My picks are not done strictly on return on investment only. It looks at the dividends, it looks at the return on investment, and then it looks at the potential growth that we're seeing out of this. And I think some of these are really at times to buy. Our next one is PLTW, the Pelter ROI return of 1 3 quarters, and it's paying 50 cents in dividends. So again, 2 very strong competitors. If I buy one or the other, we're probably good. Everything's going to be great because those things are sitting there saying 1 year and 3 quarters, and we're in at 50 cents each. Number 3, Tesla. Like I told you earlier, I would have never, ever looked at Tesla without doing this type of program. Tesla can return my money back in 1.5 years at 41 cents. Now, it fell as a number 3, and there's a reason for it, is because of the losses that are onto it. Now, I'm doing this on today's value, okay? If it goes down on Monday, if it goes down on Tuesday, that return on investment is going to drop. Is it going to drop dramatically? No. But it's going to say, hey, look, in 1.5 years at today's price, I can get in and out of this. If it would ever show me that it was stabilizing, it would be higher up on the food chain. Because YETH is the next one that's going to come into this. This is the either. It's going to have a return on investment of 1.5 years, and it pays 36 cents dividend. Now you can see Tesla should have been up higher because it's a 41-cent dividend with the same exact return on investment, but they're showing me the growth. They're showing me the extra mile that they're going to take. So this is one I'm going to take heavily look at and say, hey, if this thing has any dips at all, come Monday around 10 o'clock, 10:30, if there's some dips into it, we'll probably put some money into it to make this thing start paying off for us. And then the number one pick overall, you guessed it, the Robinhood. Robinhood with that 1 1/4 years pay return on investment and the $1.05 so far in dividend return. I don't know how you could not make how your number one winner looking at what we're doing. I've done math on this one already. If you take the share up to $75 a share, you still are not, there's not much of a changeover in that return on investment. You add a few extra weeks to it at max, but this gives you that range. If I can get in that $69 range to $75 range, I'm into this because of the return on investment. So these are our strong 5 picks that we're going to be looking at. We hope this guys helps you guys down the road of what you should get into, what you should be looking at, and where you should be putting possibly some of your money, because these weeklies pay off so well. You have to look at them in different ways. Guys, it's Doug the Retirement Guy. I hope you like what we're doing. If you do, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to you, and get updated when we're putting out more and more videos. Also let us know about your comments, and hopefully if you guys can support the channel in any way possible, hit that Patreon button down in the description. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next week.